Welcome to Double E Elevating Entrepreneurs. I'm here today with our special guest, Johnny Cheng. He is actually a Dallas local who has lots of experience in sales and other organizations, and he's now transitioned into entrepreneurship specifically within the solar sector. He is the VP of sales of Vantage Point Solar, and he also has his own franchise within the company. And he also is the chairman of his dad's nonprofit, which is really exciting, that supports Cambodia efforts. And he's going to be talking more about that. And it's called Hands for Cambodia. And he's actually going to be sharing a bit about his dad's book today on that. And then he also has his own business doing wholesale real estate. Why don't you go ahead and say hi to everyone today?
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you here. So tell us a little bit about your journey into entrepreneurship and kind of how that all got started.
I think it all started with really just finding myself and being comfortable going from there. So, entrepreneurship for me, I would go from job to job, but
Mm-hmm.
never actually found a true passion. And I found that when you do something you love,
Mm-hmm.
that's something you can actually put your work into and get a return on it. So I mean, entrepreneurship for me has it's still a growing process, always a growing process. There's never a cap.
Mm-hmm.
So
No truer words have been spoken.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, especially for you,
Right.
like it's good to see you. I know
Yeah.
last time we met was Barnes and Noble. We mentioned that earlier.
So many years ago.
Yeah, like 6 or 7. So to see you
Yeah.
doing this as well,
Thank
I
you.
mean, it's something you can stand behind. It's entrepreneurship is
Mhm.
really just building a brand for yourself and going from there. So I know there's a lot of obstacles that come with that, and to be here right now to share this time with you, that's
Yeah.
that's that's awesome. So
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. How crazy, right? Who would have thought that this would be happening 6 years later?
heck yeah, well, you stuck to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, just keep working towards it. But yeah, so I'm really excited to get to learn about, both businesses and, about what you do. So tell us about how you got into solar.
So really, it was for me, especially with the pandemic. A lot of people lost their jobs. I used to be in credit repair. Used to do medical device sales. Was my last job, and in order to move forward, people got laid off and so on and so forth. I had to find a way to figure out what I wanted to do. So I thought to myself, how can I make a living while making a difference?
Mm.
And I came with this option. A friend had introduced to the solar, and I met Alan Kratipan, a partner, and he showed me all the opportunities in it. So not only was I able to make a difference and make a living, um, one of my main things was to provide, like I said earlier, for the nonprofit.
Mm.
So it went hand in hand because we've built water wells over there in Cambodia. My dad, we built churches, we supply medical supplies. So I wanted to supply green, clean energy.
Mhm.
So I saw an opportunity to take over that space, and that's how I got into it. And from there, it's been a learning curve, and business is booming. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about, what it looks like to be in the solar industry as an entrepreneur, kind of how you navigate that. Tell us about, the benefits of going solar and some details there, please.
I think so with solar, a lot of people just simply don't know about it.
Right.
So our business model is, it's a door-to-door model,
Okay.
but there's also multiple ways you can actually do it. So there's people doing lead generation, YouTube ads, Facebook marketing, network marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily just solar that we provide. We
Okay.
provide any home efficiency upgrades as well to make your house efficient enough to where we supply that green energy. So
Mm-hmm.
that being said, I think for people coming on, you need to go all in with solar. It's not just like a half and half thing. That's why
Mm-hmm.
in the past I've tried different models or
Mm-hmm.
different types of businesses too.
Sure.
So especially with entrepreneurship, you're trying so many things, and what I've been taught is that I've always figured that you need to hone in and prioritize what you need to do. So, as for now, if you're going to go solar, that's something that I tell my reps and my teams. You got to go in all in for it. So, with that being said, I think a lot of obstacles for them. It's like when you understand yourself and the things you need to do, the more freedom you have. So that being said, and you asked me like,
what do you mean by that? That's really good.
I mean like let's say, I think fear, especially for entrepreneurship, is a big thing.
Absolutely.
So that being said, we're put in different difficult situations. To There's fearless and there's fearful. There's not like a fear none. So that being said, you have to embrace that fear. I think it's just because I see fear as a misunderstanding. So when I say that, it's not because the fear doesn't go away, but we learn to understand more, and it matches our fear. So that's what that kind of went off topic on that one.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's definitely coming into the solar game, especially now. There's a lot of different shady companies out there.
Sure.
And what separates us apart is that we don't only provide the solar sales for the company, we also actually do our installation and our own lending as well. And in order to get to that point, you have to hit a number of deals, hit a number of different metrics in order to provide that. So you asked me though, like the benefits of solar, as of now. So right now, do you know anything about solar at all?
I do know some about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
I know that definitely it helps you reduce the cost of electricity in your home. It uses the sunlight. It's using more of the natural resources to power it instead of the grid. So that's what I know.
Yeah, so I know winter.
Not on your level because it's not my career
Hey,
field.
that's why I'm here. So like to say, I'm not an entrepreneur as well. I'm a solopreneur.
Yeah.
So they're let's do it. So were you affected by the winter storm last year?
No, I'm on the hospital grid.
Oh, there you go. We actually were too, by the firehouse station.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. But I mean, a lot of people were.
Yeah, definitely.
The Texas grid right now is over 100 years old. That being said, it costs a lot to maintain it. So if you ask yourself this question, you think, who's going to maintain that? Is it going to be the utility company? Is it going to be the stockholders, or is it going to be the customers? So which one do you think it would be?
Like who would maintain?
Like no, who would cost? Like who would pay for that?
The owner of the home.
Yeah. So that's us. So that being said, with solar, how it works is just like owning versus renting. We give you the opportunity to own that power. So what you're doing, especially like if you think about this way, like going back to it, like if you look at gas prices, for instance, and the cost of inflation, it's the same with electricity. It's been going up. If you ever looked at electricity bill, some people are just like, they don't look at it at all. They just pay it.
Yeah.
Okay? But then if you actually look at it, you're going to see that there's different charges. There's a pass-through charge. There's a delivery fee. There's, you're paying the company just to deliver. It's like if you're going to a grocery store and you purchase groceries, right? They're going to charge you for putting groceries in your car.
Right.
So with going solar, since you own your power, what's going to happen is you completely eliminate that, and you own your power now. So you're generating your own power. With that comes actually tax breaks as well. The federal government's giving 26% tax credit back to you, whatever the cost of the system is. And in Texas specifically, we have an option called Texas net metering. So how solar works is, of course, we're getting energy from the sun, okay? And then it's coming to the solar panels, the PV cells, and there's an inverter. So homes are usually ran on AC currents, right? What happens is the AC current hits the inverter and it changes to a direct current.
Okay.
And then that's how we power the house. So usually if you ever looked at a net meter, do you own a home or?
No.
Okay, so like 10 years ago, Encore came out and they actually switched the meters out for homeowners.
Okay.
And what they were doing was actually prepping people for solar. So usually if you look at a meter, it feeds from the energy grid
Mhm.
this way. Okay.
Mhm.
With solar, since you're producing your own energy, you're actually reversing it back to the grid,
Mhm.
and people can actually make money off of that too.
No, that's cool.
Hmm.
So how do people make money off of it?
By selling their energy. So they sell their electricity that they're actually producing
Mhm.
back
To
to
the company?
back to the company.
Oh wow. So they
Yeah.
can be an energy entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
That's
mean,
awesome.
also like it's not only that, like the opportunity, just like I said, people just don't simply know about it, but
Mhm.
it actually increases the value of your home as well. So
Mm.
let's say, because I mean, if you're gonna look at a home and I'm not just there's links and stuff like that we can
Mhm.
supply to.
Sure.
Um, would you rather have a house that's producing its own energy and you have a fixed electricity bill,
Mhm.
or would you choose the other
Mhm.
and not know what your bill is going to be next month?
Yeah.
So we give homeowners the opportunity to lock in a lower fixed rate, so it's going
Mhm.
to be cheaper than what they're paying for electricity right now,
Mhm.
and then actually own their power with all the incentives with it too.
Okay. That's
Hmm.
really cool. I
Yeah.
like that. So, tell us a little bit about how you have your franchise within Vantage Point Solar. So there's other people that want to own, their own business that are listening, or maybe want to get into solar or want to, essentially have a franchise to have that support system where they can also build their own business within a business. So tell us about like how that works
Yeah.
and how you got into that point or that part of the business.
Yeah, of course. So what actually like separates us apart as well is like not many companies out there will give you the opportunity to build your own brand. Because
Mhm.
solar currently right now, there's so many there's been more solar I think installed last year,
Mhm.
like it was like 43% than there has been, in like the past 5. So
Mm.
it's a booming business right now, especially with COVID. That's when it all happened too. There's still such a high demand for it. So
Yeah.
right now, what we do is we offer people that have been, you know, in the solar game or whatever they've been doing. We have reps that are making off of 2 deals, like upwards of $30,000 in commissions. It's not it. There's actually some money in it. So
Yeah.
we give the opportunity to people to come in if they want to learn how to build their own business, build their own brand. We give them the
Mhm.
tools to do so. So we do the trainings for them. We supply, all the back end services and everything that they need as well. So
That's awesome.
it's always it's getting what you put in, really.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's true for like any business, but that's so cool. So, where do you see Vantage Point Solar going?
Now we're going to the top. So um, the 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 growth that we've experienced, we've gone from a sales organization. Um,
Mhm.
we come from a sales side,
Sure.
but we were bringing in so many sales that our third party for installations, right?
Mhm.
They couldn't keep up because it's not just sales and we slap some glass on your roof.
Yeah.
There's a whole process when it comes to that, whether and like interconnection permits, HOA,
Mhm.
all that back end stuff. So we had no control
Mhm.
over the installations.
Mhm.
So from that point, we made the decision to become our own installation as well.
Okay.
So not only did we do sales, we do installation, and now we have the opportunity to do financing.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a lot more in play. If anyone wants to learn more about it, feel free to reach out.
Okay. Awesome. And what are some tips that you have from an entrepreneurial perspective of leading and organizing a sales team to provide top performance?
Before you can provide um, what needs to go into the sales team,
Mhm.
you need to be able to sustain yourself. So in order to become that leader for that group, you need to do what it takes. I think consistency is definitely a big one. Prioritize. You need to be able to. It's a lot of time. It's a
Yeah,
lot of time
I'm
and effort.
sure.
So what comes to that is you need to have goals and realizations. You can't have excessive goals because a lot of
Mhm.
people will try to go out there and they get burned out.
Yeah.
So you also have to enjoy the process.
Mhm.
Enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
And I think for me, one of the biggest advantages for me was finding a mentor, someone
Mm.
that's been in the same thing and has it's hard. It's hard to find a
Yeah.
mentor.
Sure.
I think a lot of people too as well don't have. You need to have core values,
Mm.
and if you don't have values, and it's hard to find. One thing that I did was I picked 5 people that I respected and admired,
Mhm.
and I wrote down their values.
Mm.
And if you write down their values, you're gonna see that this chair is squeaky.
Yeah.
You're gonna see that
Yeah.
there's gonna be a correlation between all of them.
Right.
So that's what you need to attack. But not only do you need to take on those values, you need to know when to apply them.
Mm.
Because if you have all this information, you don't do nothing with it,
Right.
it's going to go nowhere.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just being able to apply yourself in those certain things and just staying consistent, really.
That's awesome. And that's so true. It's like the speed of the group is always determined by the speed of the leader. So if you're not giving a good example, they don't have anything good to follow. So it's typically going to fall apart. And, if you look at, basketball teams or any successful organization, normally if the organization was doing well and then it's not, they typically replace the leader, not the team. So
Right.
that's so true. And it is good to have core values as well. And I think that's vital in mentorship because mentorship keeps you accountable, keeps you in check, gives you someone to look up to that helps you continue to grow. Because the leader still needs to be pushed. And then, having those core values too, so you are running a good, solid organization run by good, foundation. Absolutely. No, I think that's so good. So tell us about some obstacles that you've had in growing as an entrepreneur and things that you've had to overcome and how you overcame them.
I think like one of the biggest obstacles when you become an entrepreneur is going to be yourself. It's going to be your thoughts. It's because it's just like you're going to be you're growing your business. It's I know in the beginning it's probably like, oh, maybe you're not getting views or stuff like that, but it's always being able to provide that content. That's
Yeah.
why it's awesome to be part of this right now,
Yeah, thank you.
and see where this is gonna go.
Hmm.
So I think every day, whether you say you have a bad day or a good day, I look people have I think it's like 60,000 thoughts you have in a day. Okay, so you can't really give attention to all those, or it's gonna be
Yeah.
so.
You'll get carried away.
All right, so
Not accomplish anything.
all
Yeah.
right, so what I do is, what I've learned from that is I give those thoughts a name. So I defuse from them. Once you give it a name, you recognize it, you make a room for it. Because once you make room for something, you allow that to process. So instead of reacting to that situation, you allow yourself to actually respond to it instead. I think breathing. If you take
Yeah.
a breath, take a deep breath, and allow that stuff to breathe through, you'll be able to pass. It'll pass. So one of the biggest obstacles to me has always been myself. I've been discouraged, especially coming from a different culture. My dad was from Cambodia, was a refugee, came over here. So there's always been a disconnect. And also it's like you got to recognize that your values, a lot of time when people have values, it's because of their parents tell them, this is
Sure.
what you need to do, this is this,
Right
this
and
and that.
wrong and things like that.
Yeah, so you got to being an entrepreneur, you got to realize that you got to stick to what you feel,
Yeah.
that I think there's a difference between how your mind thinks and what your heart thinks. I think the mind tells you to keep it safe, while your heart tells you to pursue your passion.
Right. Sure.
So really, it's just when it comes down to it, it's gonna be you versus you, and then in order to progress, like I said, having a mentor is one of the biggest things, and having that support group, and just hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I think that's good. And sometimes it is good to, slow down and recenter your thoughts. I think that's very powerful to have control over that as an entrepreneur is going to help you guide your day. What helped you overcome some of the obstacles, like you said, being from a different culture? What are some challenges you've faced and some tips for people facing something similar?
Yeah. So just like when it comes to culture obstacles, it really it's hard. It was hard for me because my dad, for instance, he came here during a wartime, like during war war torn. I always think in my head, like, even though he left the war, he brought the war back with him. And that was, instilled. And it takes not take a lot of praying. I have a Bible study group that I go to on Tuesdays. It takes some faith. It takes some hard work on it. It's not something that's going to happen, overnight. But how to overcome that, especially, and I have a daughter. I've got a 3-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Of course. So
Yeah.
she's beautiful. That's one of my biggest motivations right now.
Yeah, absolutely. She holds you accountable, I'm sure.
Heck yeah.
Because you want to make her proud.
Yep.
Yep.
Daddy's girl.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, really, just to overcome that, it's realizing who you are and don't hide from it. So just being 100% real with yourself, like I said earlier, is going to allow you to have that freedom.
Yeah, and it makes you unique as an entrepreneur too. Important to who you are and realize and be okay with who you are, because that's what makes you different, and that's why people will buy into you versus someone else. So
especially like in this day and age too, where people can mask themselves, Facebook and all that stuff.
Sure.
So it's really
Authenticity is underrated, but it's so powerful.
Yeah. For sure. So that's why I always like, when you ask me, did you want to do this over Zoom or anything like that? I'm like, no, let's meet in person.
Yeah,
so,
it's always better. I agree. So referencing your daughter, tell us some struggles and tips for other, single parents that are also entrepreneurs, especially single dads. It's different, right? Yeah. So what helps you kind of stay on track and schedule your time? And do you have any other tips for people that are kind of going through that same time in life where they're having to balance the two?
Like, it's hard.
I'm sure it's not easy.
I'm still figuring out. So, I mean, every day she's brilliant. She's always learning. You got to understand that while you're going through the transitioning of learning, she's watching you. She's learning too.
Sure.
So I think you have to embrace their love. You have to. It's a lot of patience as well. So I mean, if I was gonna say any tips, it would be you're doing great. You're doing great. There's times where it's gonna be really dark. You're not doing enough, but being a parent, it's something else. It's a job within its own.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't have a child, but I've seen it, right? It's a lot of work.
Yeah, but I mean, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. It's been life-changing.
Yeah, and then that gives you that extra push to be successful as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because they're watching you. So that's awesome. Very cool. So tell us a little bit about how you intertwined your nonprofit that is actually your father's, that you're chairman of. So tell us a little bit about that and how you intertwined it with solar, and about your dad's book and kind of what's going on there.
Yeah. So I think we've been in Cambodia about 10 times now.
Wow. Okay.
What we do is we're blessed to be a blessing. So right now we've done the upcoming mission trip. It's coming in July.
Okay.
We're going to be, purchasing animals, so cows, chickens, making sure that the villages that we support, Kampong Chong, Kampong Som, are sustainable, that can provide for themselves.
Cool.
We're teaching disciples, pretty much. That's what we like to call it. So COVID happened. We were supposed to come this year. Didn't happen, so we're going next year now. It's a very right now the country is kind of internal. Things are getting better, but just to be over there and see, what culture you're from? Are you?
My mom's adopted, so I don't know all my heritage necessarily, but my dad's German.
German? Okay, so I think when you go back home, wherever you are from, it's a different experience. It's definitely, you evaluate and you open your eyes to everything that's going on. So going back there, it's been amazing. It's been a blessing.
That's
We've done medical supplies, we've done water wells, um, we've done schools, we've done a few churches as well. So it,
So the mission behind the nonprofit is, supporting the community, building it back up, kind of providing the needs that they have.
yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
that's what we're doing.
So tell us about his book.
So this book is Grace Will Lead Me Home. Out here. So
Show off your dad.
yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah, that's
Over
awesome.
here, over here flexing.
Yeah, I love it.
So this book is really just about how he came over here to the U.S. Are you familiar with the genocide that happened over there?
Yeah, but you can definitely touch on it for sure.
Yeah, so he crossed the jungle. It's called the Khmer Rouge, the genocide. So he crossed the jungle with his family. He's still finding family. Facebook, thank God for Facebook, he's still finding family members.
That's awesome.
With that being said, he lost a lot of family members too. So
Sorry about that. Yeah.
he would escape from concentration camps. He came over to the U.S., didn't know a lick of English, came over here and did whatever he could, really.
Right.
Like I said, I feel like he brought the war with him. He was a different person, and until he found Christ, now he's a pastor. That's why it's called Grace Will Lead Me Home.
I love that.
He's a different man than I remember, 15 years ago. So this book is really just about his struggle and finding God through that. And if you guys want to purchase the book, all donations go to the nonprofit as well. So we'll supply that link for you as well.
Okay, very cool. I love that. So where does your dad want the nonprofit to go? Like, what does he see, the long-term vision, or where do you guys see that going?
I think for him,
you guys have already done a bunch.
Yeah,
but it's exciting to follow. Yeah.
We have it in the works to supply the Vantage Point solar side.
Okay.
Supply green energy.
I love that.
As far as that's why I'm doing it. And as far as where we see it going, just to be able to be there, and my dad will probably eventually move back over there.
Okay.
I hope he does. God bless him.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, we are, like I said, he said something the other day to me, and it kind of stuck out. Disciples making disciples. So we're over there to we have a few doctors out there already and teachers. So we want to be able to, even though we're over here, we ensure that the people over there are growing and supporting the community as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I love that. So you touched on why. So let's dig a little bit deeper into that. So you're passionate because of your dad's why, your family's tie, right, to what happened there. So why do you think it's so important and so vital for entrepreneurs to have such a deep why, and what made you realize yours?
Yeah. Like I said, values when it comes to it as well. It's hard to find that why. Especially being an entrepreneur, you're gonna be you're gonna be switching from one thing to the next, trying to figure out what works. But consistency. Once you figure out. For me, to find my why. One, like I said, I wanted to find a way I could make change. I think people need to be honest with themselves and reevaluate, because it's humbling. So it's something that definitely takes. I think people. I'm still trying to find different whys.
Yeah. I think it evolves too.
But you gotta trust the process. If you're passionate about it, keep going for it. Don't let other people discourage that from you. It's all a mental game.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's life in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I remember from cross country, one of my coaches was like, you're not tired, it's your brain telling you tired. She always would tell us it's a mental battle, not a physical one.
Right.
And no true words have ever stuck with me in my life.
Yeah.
It's so true, you know, especially when you're out of breath the last half mile of the race, you know, but you're just like, you know what? Like, I can do it. You talk yourself into it, right? Your thoughts are very powerful, you know, and they affect our actions. So just kind of getting control over that. So it's so powerful. So tell us about why you chose entrepreneurship route. I mean, you also have some wholesaling business you do in real estate. So that's something extra that you do. So tell us why you do that as well. And then tell us also why you chose to partner with Vantage Point Solar and go the franchise route versus kind of starting your own thing. So some of the benefits on that, since I've had a lot of traditional entrepreneurs on the podcast, you know, like your father or something like that, but you're more of a like franchise entrepreneur, also serial entrepreneur a bit. So tell us why you made those decisions.
So I chose entrepreneurship because I wanted to have freedom, I guess. You know, I think there's nothing more important than time. But also, with time, you need to put your energy into it. So, I mean, I've worked from, you know, I think my first job was working at the gym. I'd be the night shift. So, that was back in high school. And just moving forward, I was like, I haven't really found a specific thing to keep me going. And then especially when I had my daughter, I needed more time to be able to enjoy or to have more energy to put my trust in the process in. So I became an entrepreneur just because, I simply just wanted to control that. I feel that I'm a very big believer in what you put in is going to be what you put out. So
Right.
in order to do that, I needed to push myself to the next level. Just like, you need to put yourself in uncomfortable positions in order to grow. So it's something, it's not just me, my sister, I have a sister as well. She has, she's owned a few a club, CC Uptown. She has her own restaurant now called Trio. It's Cajun Asian seafood.
Cool.
So it's also, that's inspiring as well, just to have something of your own. Why work for someone else?
Right.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah.
And then
Very
your next
cool.
question was,
Why you chose partnering with Vantage Point Solar, and then also why, as an entrepreneur, you think it's a good idea to diversify since you also do the wholesaling real estate. And tell us a little bit about why you chose to do that.
so why I chose to partner with Vantage Point Solar was strictly because of Alan. So he's the owner, CEO, partner, and I saw something like that's actually who I see as my mentor as well.
Okay.
So shout out Alan. It's been, I think, one of the biggest things in entrepreneurship as well is loyalty. You once you find someone you can stay loyal with, and you find that group, you're bound to grow. I think a lot of the times, people bounce from here to there or burn bridges because they think that, they know what they're doing and so on and so forth. But it's a learning process, and I partnered with Vantage Point because they actually supplied not only that learning process, but also the tools I needed to excel myself as well. And I found myself wanting to build that brand because it's something I stood behind so like strongly. That being said,
Because it identifies with your why.
yeah. Sorry. And then as far as the wholesaling thing goes, I mean, Dallas is booming.
Yeah,
The market is ridiculous right now. I'm also in the general construction field as well.
Okay.
But right now I'm just focusing on solar and the actual nonprofit because, like I said, you gotta go all in.
Right.
So that being said, with the wholesaling real estate, it's a seller's market right now.
Right.
So
It's very true.
yeah. So I mean, with that, I have people that we call them bird dogs. They'll go out and they'll find distressed homes, and what we'll do is we purchase homes, rehabilitate them, and sell them, pretty much. So right now, it's a good market for it. I'm not sure how long it's going to last,
Sure.
but I found this space and I've stuck with it. That's something I do on the side as well.
Just to have it.
Hmm.
Okay, that's awesome.
I mean, it's always good to have, 7 streams of income.
Definitely.
You want to have. That's another thing too. As being an entrepreneur, is you need to reinvest in yourself, so and your business. So I'm
What
sure.
are some ways you do that?
So I reinvest myself by lead generation, whether it be supporting the team as well. Marketing is A1, especially now, and just everything day to day needs. So I mean, and then always learning. I'll always go to different courses. I'll go to training seminars, networking events. We've got one going in California next month, in Long Beach. Just so like when you reinvest in yourself, you are able to take it to the next level. So
That's awesome. And how do you find some of these things? I know some of them are definitely from probably your company, right? But you probably research on your own. What are some tips that you have to our fellow listeners and entrepreneurs that are wanting to gain access to things like that? Like, do you just Google it, or are there groups that you can join? Like, what are some tips you have there?
I think so. Your network is net worth. So um, one of the traits that I found that I'm very good at is networking. So I'm very personable. I love I think it's just because also when it comes back to how I was raised and everything that I've gone through, it's given me the opportunity to connect with people because I've seen and I've been through a lot. So I'm never judging anyone or anything like that. I think I stand behind this. I always want to provide value wherever I go. So that's something I stick behind. As far as networking goes, I mean, if you go on Facebook, there's all these groups you can add yourself to,
Sure.
so on and so forth. YouTube University, get on YouTube and
Yeah.
and do on and so forth. But it's really wherever you go, you can always make a connection. I've recruited reps by at the gym. Anyone that's in that space. Anything, so like whatever you're focusing on as well, like for me, for instance, in the solar game, if I connect with real estate agents, because they have clients that want to go solar or anything like that, I connect with different networks. And also with solar, it's not just solar that we offer. Like I said, it's any home efficiency upgrades.
So tell us what that means.
So let's say you want to go solar and you need a new roof, right? Or you need a new HVAC system. So with the solar payment, we include any type of upgrade, okay? And in return, you actually get not only on your 26% tax credit, you actually can write off any upgrades as well. So we'll put the roof in there, whatever's needed, and it's still going to be cheaper than what you're paying for electricity bill.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. So if somebody was interested in, connecting with you and talking about solar as a customer, how would they connect with you?
Yep. So I've got my email, Johnny at Vantage Point Solar. I'm sure you drop a link. We've got our website. Reach out to me that as well. Our Instagram page, Vantage Point Solar. We are located right in Dallas, but we also supply all of Texas and any other state as well. I think 37 other states.
Wow. Okay. And then you had sent me as well earlier a link to a quote. Can you tell them about that as well?
Yeah, it's just a funnel page. I mean, just for you to qualify for solar, you need to be a homeowner. Okay, have your own home. Another one is your roof space. So do you have enough roof space, or if there's any trees, we can cut down those trees for you. And that's typically just it. So
Okay.
so if you qualify, it's pretty easy to qualify. Just go on there, tell us what your average electricity bill is. What we do for your system is we make sure that we produce enough energy for you. So how we look at it is we look at your electricity bill. We see your past usage in the year.
Okay.
And we make sure that the system that we build for you produces enough as you consume. Okay. So it is a custom proposal. We'll create it for you. It's going to show actually, your roof. We do this for free for you as well. It's going to show your roof, where it's going to go, and we give you, the numbers on that.
That's awesome. And then you have a link for that one as well, right?
Yeah, it's TexasEnergyStallers.com.
Okay. Awesome. Very cool. So what was I going to ask? Just in summarization, so you said that, it's good to have a mentor, good to kind of have that guidance. Also probably good to have your team too, because they probably keep you on track and motivate you to keep performing, the accountability. Who are some other people that you look up to, or, other books or podcasts that, kind of help you, like you said, keep pouring into yourself that you'd recommend?
Addicted to Success, Joel Brown. It's a good podcast. He always has. I was listening to on the way over here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just to pump myself up.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so who I also look to is my dad, of course. I look up to people that I have an actual connection with. So if I connect with someone, I make sure that I apply myself. Like I said, it's good to follow what values you see in other people. Because if someone's doing something right and they've already done it, if you stick to yourself and follow the same game plan, like I said, consistency, it's going to happen. So you just got to put in the work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so true. Was there anything else that you want to share with anybody today that you feel like is important for them to know about you and your entrepreneur journey?
Really just as far as the entrepreneur journey is, like if you're going to take this route, it's not for everyone.
Right, that's true.
It's not for everyone. Just, like I said, stick to your core values. Take the next step. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Prioritize. That's the main thing. And also enjoy what you're doing. That's if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then why are you doing it? Like I think a lot of people chase success. They get that they're not like, I'm not happy until I have this,
sure.
Rather than fulfillment. So fulfillment would be, it's a now thing, it's every day. So when you stop chasing success and you allow yourself to be fulfilled, that's going to give you the opportunity to grow. So just take every day, learn, always keep learning, always keep learning.
And you think that's really helped you as an entrepreneur, right? Kind of having that open mindset and
yeah, for sure.
Realizing that you wanted something that was making a difference and that would get you the success, right?
Right.
So that's so good. That's awesome. And then where is Vantage Point Solar going and, the new year and with their growth? What do you guys have in the works?
So we're blowing up. So we're also offering commercial as well.
Okay.
So a lot of business,
nice.
So a lot of businesses that they get 26% back.
Wow.
To put back into their taxes or whatever they want to do with it. That's a huge thing. Right now, it's not a matter of can you get the commercial business done. It's can you actually, can you get the financing and all this other stuff as well. We see ourselves dominating the Texas market. To see where we've came from, 2 years ago to become not only a sales organization but an installation and now offering financing as well to these companies. We're a trifecta.
Yeah.
So there's no stopping. I see this company just growing, just taking off.
Well, it's such a smart thing too, and I want to touch on this quickly before we wrap up. Is the fact that you guys are covering all the bases with your business. Like, you saw a gap, right? And you guys fulfilled that just with the funding and expanding to commercial, and you're like, oh, we can do that too. And that's such a good lesson on entrepreneurship. So if you want to touch on that briefly, just about, covering entrepreneurs, that's what they do. They solve problems, right? So they're like, oh, we can fit that need. We don't need to outsource. So tell us about the values of having that, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, so really, like I said, for us, what separates us apart is there's companies out there, these larger companies, right? They don't offer what we offer. So what we offer is opportunity for anyone to come in and actually brand themselves as well. So for us, it's like if you're not happy in what you're doing and you're not producing, what can we do to make sure that happens? Because if you're producing, that means we're making money too. So we focus more on quantity, so how much we're doing rather than how much we're making. So with that model, like I said, we've got so many different dealers, different company teams coming in, and it's like it's not even if you walk into our office, there's going to be like maybe like 6 or 7 different companies in there, and they're all just talking to each other. We're always learning. We got that culture going on, so it's not even a competition for us. It's really just creating that space for everyone in order because if they're doing good, we're doing good.
Right, and culture is vital to the growth.
Yeah, for
definitely.
Sure. Like when you come and get Vantage Point, you're not getting Vantage Point, you're getting me and you're getting Alan.
Yeah, that's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, if we come on, we meet everyone.
Right.
We'll grab a bite to dinner. We'll do whatever. We just went to the Dallas Mavericks game, had a suite, all that stuff for you guys. So it's definitely a good culture for our company.
Right, and connection precedes, people going out there and performing because I feel like they're part of something. So,
yeah, it's always gonna be part of something. You can't take it all on alone.
No, definitely. Yeah. That's so awesome. Well, thank you so much, Johnny, for connecting with us today on Double E and sharing with us and the audience about your entrepreneurship journey, about Vantage Point Solar, and the nonprofit Hands for Cambodia, right? Mm-hmm. And we're just really excited to kind of follow you and where you go.
Heck yeah. I think this year too, there's been, like I said, there's been more solar installed than English. So you'll see us around. If you have any questions, reach out to us and we'll take care of them.
Absolutely. Well, you guys stay tuned for the next episode of Double E Elevating Entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
Perfect.